Today, we're going to dive into one of the most fascinating stories in modern governance. It's all about how an entire nation, using just a single brilliantly written document, completely renovated its whole system of government. This is the story of Trinidad and Tobago's incredible journey to becoming a republic.
So that leads to this huge question, right? How exactly does a country fire its monarch? And not with a revolution, but with total legal precision, making sure the country keeps running smoothly the very next day. That is the puzzle we are about to unlock.
To really get how they pulled this off, you have to see this moment for what it truly was: a full system reboot. It was a conscious decision to unplug from one operating system and install a brand new one from the ground up. Now, what's really interesting here is that 14-year gap. See, in 1962, Trinidad and Tobago gained independence, which was a massive deal. But the British monarch was still the official head of state. That gap really shows this growing national feeling, this desire for complete sovereignty, a sense that, to be truly independent, the nation's highest office had to be held by one of its own. It wasn't until 1976 that they took that final, crucial step. So, how in the world did they manage such a fundamental shift? Well, you don't just wing something like this. They needed a master plan, a legal blueprint that would map out every single detail of this national renovation.
And that master plan was a single piece of legislation: the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Act, known officially as Act 4 of 1976. This one document had everything they needed to make the transition happen.
But the real magic, the real power, it's all packed into this one sentence. This line from Section 3 is like a kill switch and a power button all in one. It legally shut down the old system and, in the very same breath, turned on the new one. Just an absolutely incredible piece of legal engineering.
And this wasn't some slow, gradual thing. The document set a very specific moment for the switchover. On the appointed day, August 1st, 1976, the Governor General, who was the Queen's own representative, basically signed his own office out of existence. And just like that, the new republic was born.
Okay, but this is where it gets really clever. I mean, it's one thing to declare you're a new republic. It's a whole other thing to make sure the country doesn't just grind to a halt. The next part of this act is all about ensuring a practical, totally seamless continuity.
Just think about the challenge they were facing. It was huge. How do you change the very foundation of your country while making sure laws are still enforced, public servants still have their jobs, and court cases can keep going? Basically, how do you reboot an entire country without it crashing?
Well, the answer was this incredibly detailed four-part plan built right into the Act. First up, Section 5 said all existing laws would just carry over. They'd just be adapted for the new republic. Simple. Second, Section 10 guaranteed that all public officers, everyone from judges to police, kept their jobs. No chaos there. Third, Section 7 made sure that any ongoing legal cases would just continue as if nothing had happened. And finally, Section 8 transferred all property from the Crown directly to the new state. Seriously, they thought of everything.
And this just shows you how elegant the whole solution was. For a lot of the existing laws, the transition was almost like a giant find and replace operation. Where it used to say, Her Majesty the Queen, it now just read, the state. Governor General became the President. Crown land was now state land. Even that prestigious legal title, Queen's Counsel, was updated to Senior Counsel. A simple change of words, but a massive shift in sovereignty.
But this wasn't just about laws and property. Section 14 of the Act was absolutely crucial for making sure the entire political leadership stayed stable. The Prime Minister, his ministers, the heads of Parliament, every single one of them stayed in their roles. There was no power vacuum. The government on July 31st was the exact same government on August 1st, just operating under a new Republican constitution.
Okay, so the foundation is secure, everything's running smoothly. Now what? Well, with the basics covered, the Act also paved the way for something totally new. A republic needed its own ways of doing things, of recognizing its own citizens.
You know, a huge part of being a truly sovereign nation is celebrating your own people, right? Instead of getting honors from the British Crown, Trinidad and Tobago needed its very own way to recognize its national heroes.
And so they laid the groundwork for a brand new national awards system. The highest honor became the Order of the Republic, or ORTT, for the most outstanding service. Then you have the Chaconia Medal for long and meritorious service, and so on. This wasn't just about handing out medals. It was about building a whole new national identity.
So why are we talking about a legal document that's almost 50 years old? Why does it still matter so much? Because it's not just a piece of history. It's literally the foundation of the nation as it exists today.
When you boil it all down, the true genius of the 1976 Act was its two-sided nature. On one hand, it was a radical blueprint for change that let the nation completely redefine itself. But at the exact same time, it was an ironclad guarantee of continuity, ensuring total stability and order. That balance is what made it such a masterpiece.
And that brings us right back to this one single pivotal year, 1976. The year a nation didn't just tweak its laws, it peacefully and precisely rebooted its very identity, giving the world a masterclass in constitutional transformation.
So every time a law is upheld in Trinidad and Tobago, every time a public servant serves the state, or a national hero is honored, you're seeing the echoes of this remarkable document at work. Which really leaves us with one final thought. How does a document from nearly half a century ago continue to shape your life, your rights, and your identity today?